I'm Freda Yarbrough Dunn. I graduated in 1973. Before it was the Manship School, and we just called it the J School. Right now, I've been at the Advocate since June of 1973, so almost 40 years there. And right now, I am the Chief Digital Content Editor, which means I'm the room mother. So it was hard trying to pick the favorite memory because it's more or less, the school was different then. A lot of different curriculum. I was in the first broadcasting class allowed, and we only really had one class for broadcasting. It was basically you go take a speech class and you put together a film project, which my teacher said it was accurate, but don't use it on your resume. So that was an interesting moment. My memories tend to revolve around the individual teachers. Eddie Bonner, Jim Featherston. Jim Featherston probably more than anybody stands in my mind because he was something of a curmudgeon, but he was a brilliant journalist, and he was a fellow who would talk to you, spend time with you, listen to your problems in other classes, and give you help when you needed it. And I had a history paper that I got a bad grade on, and the professor really dumped on me and wrote some seriously ugly items at the top about how I should not be ever write another word, shouldn't be a journalist, and should leave LSU. But he gave me a C on the paper, so I guess it was accurate. He just didn't like the writing. So Featherston looked at it and he said, "Yeah, this is the worst thing you've ever written." And I was like really down in the dumps, and I thought, oh my God, I need to find another career. And he says, "No, you've been awake for 3 days. It's the worst thing you've ever written after being awake for 3 days. Get some sleep, go back, rewrite it, edit." So I edited it, and it came back with a better product. It didn't get me a better grade, but Featherston said, "Yes, all you need is a little sleep." Well, and that was very good. So back in the day, I hate to say that, back in the day, we had to work for the Reveille. There wasn't a choice. You didn't just go write for the Reveille. You had to work, so you were assigned different beats. And one of the beats, and so I was always producing copy and going to different places on campus. And I really liked getting into it quickly because you immediately begin to get a feel that, oh, this is really good. I like doing this because I'm a wee bit ADD, and having different things to do every day is really good for an ADD person. So in journalism, you could do as many different things as you want. And one of the things that stood out in my mind, it was just a moment, a slice. They assigned me to the industrial technology department where my father had been a professor when I was a little girl. He had died when I was very young, so I really didn't know a lot about him. And I went over there to do a story thinking, oh wow, I'm walking back in this building I remember, when I was little and the day he died, and I've now got to cover something here. And it was a really funny moment because his secretary was still there. And she walks out and she sees me and she went, "I forgot to give your family something." And she goes and finds my father's thesis that had been sitting in the back closet and hands it to me, and I'm like, "Oh, this is weird." But I've got to go cover this thing. She says, "Oh, go down the hall." And it was my first lesson in learning how to separate those personal moments that happen a lot in journalism with having to go ahead and cover the event that you're having the personal moment with. So I had to, stand there and take notes and write a story, and then go back and I looked at my father's thesis, and it was like it was weird because it had been 12, 15 years since I had seen him, and I'm holding the last thing he did, and that just stands in my mind as something that it taught me a lesson, but it was also one of those powerful moments of emotion. I think the biggest thing it did is because at the time I went, you were constantly working while you were in school. By the time I graduated, I was ready to dive into regular work. I didn't have to, what you learn in school is what you do a lot when you're out in the working world. So it wasn't where I had to go into a situation and learn the company rules or the company software or the program. It's journalism. It's pretty much the same all over the world, just a different language, different typewriters, different computers, different programs. So I was able just to jump in almost immediately. In fact, the woman who was an editor who I worked for when I first started there, 2 weeks after I started, she walks by my desk, throws the Sunday layout pages at me, which were just 8.5 by 11 sheets at the time, and said, "I'm going on vacation, you have the Sunday section." And walked out the door, and I'm like, "Oh, okay," and did it. So you're prepared. Well, for a long time I wasn't, because I think I was too involved in work. But as work began to change through the years, moving toward digital, moving more toward social media, much less print and more people connecting on the internet and through in the world by means that we never connected before, I needed to know more. And I started talking with people, and then started talking more with people here at the J School, I still call it the J School, the Manship School, to find out information, especially on social media. And then as I would talk, they'd say, "Hey, why don't you come do this or come to this event?" And then my husband was teaching for a while out here, and so he would start talking about things at home, and then I started getting involved. And so it was a gradual thing, but I think I needed to connect with the world as it is now and not the world that I grew up with, because that world is so long gone. And this keeps me going. And if you work with the younger students, okay, we work with young people, I'm old, you learn so much so quickly instead of just staying in your closet and just sitting there in your cubicle. I'm in a cubicle now. So you learn a lot.